All right, good day. You're welcome to Bear Show. On today's edition of Bear Show, we shall be bringing your way a tropical topic that affects our society at large. And dealing with the topic we have brought your way today, I have with me
Darlington Okazi.
Darlington Okasi. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I remain your very own Yomin, the main man. On today's edition of Bay Show, we shall be discussing about a topic which has been affecting our society at large, and it's actually eroding our values. We no longer know where we are again, because in African mindset, we believe that once you are married, marriage is supposed to be for once and for all. But what we are seeing these days, we realize that it's no longer like that. You get into marriage now, you see, before you know it, people will start thinking of getting out of the marriage. It does not matter even how long. Some people are saying maybe just 6 months down the line, some people 1 year down the line, and they're not even looking back or looking forward. All they just want is divorce. So we really want to talk about what are the scientific scientific reasons or moral justification for divorce. Mr. Daniel, please, what do you have to say about this?
Thank you so much for having me. The Bay Show family, thank you. I see it as a privilege bringing me to this show. All right, very, very interesting topic, very crucial, very critical. Before we get into the scientific and moral justifications for divorce, let's first of all look at marriage, because I think that everything is based on perception. Okay, it is what you perceive that guides your value and all that. So the way a lot of people perceive marriage has become an issue. You see, sometimes I try to define marriage from something that is very different from what people see. You know, that's why I said it depends on perception. How do you perceive marriage? What do you perceive is marriage? Okay, please, no offense. Personally, I don't like defining marriage as a union of two people, you know, because when I teach marriage, I tell them that if you perceive marriage as a union, you might be tempted to treat it as National Union of Road Transport Workers. Okay, please, I am sorry if you work in that environment and you're hearing this. Okay, I try to define marriage as a covenant relationship between a mature man and a mature woman in order to fulfill God's own ordained purposes. Sorry, I'm not going religious, but every one of you will agree with me that marriage was instituted by God. Beautiful. Okay? Having said that, if we perceive it as a covenant, every one of us knows what a covenant is. It's much more than an agreement. It's not just a union. So if we see marriage as a covenant, then we will prepare ourselves while going into this covenant relationship. But then we refuse to see it from there, and we buy off the definition of the society. The society didn't institute marriage. And so I believe, you may call me old school, but I believe that marriage should be for better, for worse. Marriage should be together forever. That's my own perception, and that's why I can tell you that there is nothing by the special mercies of God that will make me think of divorce. Because even before I got into marriage, I have made up my mind that I was going to marry one. So there's nothing like divorce, there's nothing like remarrying, there's nothing like trying out another person. So that's my own perception of marriage, and this my perception guides me. But having said that, what is divorce? Divorce is the legal dissolution of a marital relationship, either by the court or by a competent body. I said a competent body because there are people who traditionally get married and that's all for them. And so they have a traditional structure that when the marriage is not working out, yes, they can dissolve it. There's also a religious way of getting married, the white wedding and all that. And then if it's not working or if things are being found out that is enough, the reasons we want to look at, then that religious body has the power to dissolve the marriage. And of course, we know that the court is a legal entity charged with that duty also. Having said all this, what could be the scientific reasons and then moral justifications for divorce, in as much as I don't believe in divorce, but let's look at them. Number one should be marriage based on deceit. Marriage based on deceit. Okay? The body is wired in a way that when two people get married, sex is very important. Okay? And if one person is lacking, because one of the reasons for marriage, though not the most important, but one of the reasons for marriage is procreation. And now, when you get married to somebody who is impotent and didn't tell you, that's why I used deceit and not impotent as my point. If this person is aware that he or she is impotent, you would say, how will a woman be impotent? I'll come to that. If a man is impotent, he is aware and then didn't tell you. Now, impotence for a man could range from the manhood, the penis, not standing, is not having erection.
Not active.
Not active. That's one. And this person went ahead to marry. That's why the society, a young lady said to me, sir, it's not this thing you're saying. Before I get married, I must test the man I want to marry to know if he's able to satisfy me. She was seeing it from the point of sexual satisfaction, which everybody in marriage has rights to. Okay? So she said, if the person cannot satisfy me, I cannot marry because I love sex. Okay. That was her word to me. Okay? So I was even trying to let her know that sex is not all that there is in marriage. But you know, the Gen Z, that's what they have been taught, that's where their mind is going. That's what society is selling to them. Okay? So if the person is impotent and the person did not tell you, we've talked about the penis not being active. Another thing is the sperm. Okay. If this person's sperm is not productive, and when we're talking about semen, we're talking the sperm, we're talking about not just the sperm count, we're talking about the motility, we're talking about the morphology.
That's true.
So I believe that every young person who should get married as a man should go check himself. There are fertility hospitals you can use to check out fertility tests. And so if this person is aware and refuse to discuss with the lady until the marriage proper and the lady finds out, I think is enough reason to divorce. Okay. Because it's based on deceit. Okay. You were aware. Okay, but if you were not aware and then you just found out after you've gotten married, that's why some religious bodies, when a couple comes together and say they want to get married, they send them for fertility test. Okay, so if you speak to your partner and say, this is my condition, or you get into marriage and then that's when you discover and you say, look at what they're saying in the hospital. What do we do? If she wants to carry on, fine. If she doesn't want to carry on, it's fine. It's not everybody that has the strength, the tenacity, and all that. Besides, You can't bring in somebody's daughter to suffer her sexually.
Yeah.
There's an age that one should be sexually active. And then how to be legally sexually active is to be married. And then this person has kept herself for a very long time and is married now, and you're telling her stories. So I think is one reason to divorce. Okay. Let me also say this. You know, I said impotent, and it's as if it's just the men. When a woman is aware that maybe by the reason of her past life or by one error or mistake, she doesn't have a womb, she doesn't have tubes have been removed, it could be by accident or whatever. You know, I am not, you know, a lot of people are very judgmental. They'll say this person has lived a rough life, has done abortion. No, there could be other reasons why this thing could happen. Yeah. Okay? And then the person did not discuss with the male partner. Of course, I heard a story, I don't know how true, where a man got married to a lady who has no breast. Wow. It was just the nipple. And then every day she wears bra and all that. And
packages.
So the very first night, the man was looking for Bobby. And there was no Bobby.
Wow.
You know, and all that. I think it happened in Abuja, the story I heard. And it's enough reason to get a divorce. If this lady has spoken to the man, it could be a hormonal issue.
Yeah, hormonal imbalance.
Yes. Yeah. You know, if this lady has spoken to the man, look at, and the man says, it is you I want to marry. I can do without breast. Which is a little difficult for every man loves breast. Okay? So if he says, I can deal with it, then you can go ahead. But not letting the partner know is marriage based on deceit. Another marriage based on deceit is being married somewhere or being married before, have children, and you pretend to be fresh. You are not telling your partner the truth. If this partner discovers, the partner has every right to seek for divorce because it was based on deceit. So we can go all and all and all and all. You know, even your financial status. Okay. You deceived this fellow, either the male gender or the female gender. It's not gender based. Anyone can be a deceit. Okay. And say, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is where I am financially. And then the person comes in and discovers it is a lie. A very fat lie. The person has every reason to say, I can't do life with somebody who is a deceit. I can't do life.
Okay, I think these things you're saying, they are actually truth, and these are the areas we really need to look into before getting into marriage properly. And most people doesn't really have time for all this. All they just want is, oh, are you there? Meet me so place. You know, well, today was so nice and good. When else are we seeing again? And they don't really have time to sit down and discuss proper issues. And you see, these days, people rush into relationship, rush into marriage, and at the same time, boom, they rushed out. The other area I think they have time to look at, I think, is the area of your pockets. What is your pocket say? Some people will even have the mind to tell you how much do you have in your bank account, even though all those other areas that they're supposed to look into are there without unattended to. And at the end of the day, all this thing now starts generating issues and all that. You mentioned about someone not being balanced hormonally and all that. You know, it's not only about, I equally heard about a guy who has been dating the girl, and the girl became so curious that, oh, let me just have made up my mind that any guy I will ever settle down with, I must have a taste and all that. And the guy will say, no, 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 no. You know, pretending to be a saint and all that. So one day the girl said, no, no more. And the guy brought out that it was like a rod. So the guy shouted, did you want to kill me? Why did you want to use this one? Where did you get this thing from? So the guy started narrating that it was small and normal before, but girls doesn't like, small size and all that. So he now went to induce it and became extra large. Became extra large. So many things are happening now that I discovered that people are actually getting married based on deceit.
A lot based on deceit, a lot. You see, and this is because a lot of young people do not want to prepare for marriage. You see, sometimes I tell young people, you go to school, spend years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, depending on the profession. About 7 years to become a doctor, about 5 years in the university to become a lawyer, and 1 year law school, and it goes on like that, 4 years to become an accountant. But then nobody goes for training when it comes to marriage. But funny enough, you may not be dealing with that discipline you studied in school, but marriage is what you will be dealing with every day of your life. And so there should be preparations towards marriage. And I teach that there are 5 levels of preparation.
Okay.
Mental preparation. What do you know about marriage? Number 1. Number 2, what are the reasons for marriage? Because people do not have enough reasons. They don't know why they are getting married. You don't marry for sex. You don't marry to compensate anybody. You don't marry out of pity. You don't marry for money. You don't marry to foster your parents' relationship. A lot. But people do not understand this. We talk about social preparation. Your public image, whom you are outside. These things matter. A songwriter once said, I don't care whom you are, I don't care where you're from, as long as you love me. I listened to that song and I said, no, not in Africa. We care. We care. We care the family you're coming from. We care about your integrity. We care about your reputation. We care about your social value. And then we have your emotional preparation.
Okay.
Because it is not going to be I love you, you love me, I love you, you love me. It's not always going to be like that. So how emotionally prepared are you? And it is because people are not emotionally prepared that when they see changes, they cannot adapt and see how to handle that change. The man that kisses you every day, he comes back from work and you come in to welcome him this day, and instead of a kiss, he gives a slap. How are you able to manage that? People are not prepared for this. I think we're deviating, but let me just share a little story.
Okay.
After my wife's first pregnancy, we lost that child. She gave birth through CS. And there was a lot of complications. And then while they were discharging her, time will fail me to go into all that, but while they were discharging her from the hospital, the doctor called me and said, for the next 1 year, do not touch her so that her body will heal very well. If I wasn't emotionally prepared and mature, somebody who just got married. If I wasn't emotionally prepared and mature, then I would go seeking for where to satisfy myself. For 1 year, first marriage, fresh marriage, for 1 year, I'll be seeing a woman living with me, seeing her naked every day. That's being emotionally prepared. We have financial preparation. I teach that romance is sweet when there's money.
That's true.
Money is to marriage what a matchstick is to a gas.
That's true.
So both parties should also be financially prepared. And of course, I may not want to go into this, but there's spiritual preparation and maturity. And so because people do not sit down and even discuss what they need to discuss in courtship, they are just focused on sex. You need to see where young people are discussing about the size of dick, size of breast, size of hip that they want. These things are temporary now, the things that you see. That's not what you will be dealing with in marriage. And that's why we teach people, when you are seeking for a life partner, look out for the inner content.
That's true.
It's not about the container, it's about the content. Because it is the content you will be dealing with every day. These things fade, beauty fade, shape fade.
It does.
So you need to prepare yourself, you need to discuss, you need to seek in deeply. But moving from this deception we're talking about, another reason that could justify divorce is domestic violence.
Okay.
How, sometimes I wonder, when I look at people who beat their spouse and beat the living daylight out of them, give them marks, make them shed blood, and they still stay together.
I'm still willing to do more.
I just wonder, how do these people make love? Go naked on the bed and say you're making love. With all this hatred, bitterness, because it is seen in the injuries that is transferred to the partner.
I think what they usually have is just sex, not
yes.
They
Yes.
don't make love, they just
have sex, yes. And that's one thing we need to understand, that there's a difference between sex and love making.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So they just have sex, like mating, where animals mate, where only the sex organs meet. And there's no affection, there's no, there's no connection.
No connection.
So domestic violence is part of the reasons why one could be divorced.
All right, still on that domestic violence, what are the things you think could be the reason leading to all this domestic violence? What are the reasons?
Immaturity.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, lack of emotional preparation.
Okay.
Well, the truth is, the person you love is the person that will hurt you the most.
Okay.
But if you built up yourself, like I tell ladies, I said, you need to build up what we call shock absorbers in vehicles. You need to have shock absorbers, because you are the one at the receiving end. Your husband goes to the office, has an issue in the office. The boss messes him up. He can't respond back to his boss because that's where he gets what he used in feeding the family. The only place he would release those emotions,
transfer the aggression,
yes, is on his wife. And so every woman who is emotionally mature would know that there's something wrong. This person has not always been like this. He's driving on the streets and a bus driver, a keke driver annoys him. Because he believes in ethics of his profession, or he wants to be mature, he wouldn't fight on the road. He comes back home and transfers the aggression again on you, because you are the only one whom he has authority over, so to say. So he can pour out the aggression. But somebody who is emotionally mature will know how to douse the tension and let him speak. But somebody who do not understand, or who is not emotionally mature, will give it back to him. Fire for fire. And there are ladies who really have diarrhea of the mouth, and they are ready to give it to you. Good measure. Press down, shake it together, and run it over. And by the time they start releasing this, it could lead into domestic violence.
All right, I think someone said that there is not much in marriage. It is whatever you bring to the table that you receive. It's whatever you bring to the marriage that you take. For instance, if you decide to just unleash all the aggression on me just because you think I'm the only one you could do that to, then they now feel that they too can still push it back to you. Let's be that as you're pushing it, I'm pushing it back. I'm not the cause of your problem. Then why should I be at the receiving end of whatever you're doing? No, and I think it really boils down to not prepared emotionally to have known what has actually happened in the time past before that happened and all that. I think that is, in most marriages, they like dealing with immediate action. They don't like tracing it back to what could have been the reason.
Because there could be remote and immediate causes to every effect.
So and when they start relating on issues based on the immediate reasons and all that, you see there will always be action and reaction, action and reaction, and before you know it, there will be a lot of tear and wears, and there are a lot of breaking down. Before you know it, things will start happening. There will be opening in the walls, and it will be cracking and cracking and cracking down. And if we are to continue talking about the causes of divorce, I think it will take a whole lot.
A whole lot.
Well, I think we just need to, before we go on to this edition, you just tell us about one or two more reasons and how to tackle those things, so that we begin to create awareness towards all those things, so that we will not be repeating the same issue over and over again.
Infidelity is another cause. But sorry, before I get to infidelity, let me also balance it on the part of the man, because what I talked about domestic violence is as if I am telling the women to just prepare, but the men should unleash their devil on their wives. No. To also unleash your anger on your wife also shows the man is not mature. There are ways to control your... In fact, if you do not have power over your emotions, you are not meant to get married. So the man should have power to control his emotions.
Did you hear that?
I am not giving men license to
power over your emotions. Don't get married.
So having said that, to balance it, infidelity is another reason to get into divorce. Why would you? In fact, in some clients, especially in the religious client, when they are joining a man and a woman, there's a line that is always taken: forsaking all others and to cleave on you. Do you understand? That is a vow you have taken. And then just few months, few years into the marriage, you are breaking this vow. So infidelity is one reason to take an option of divorce, because there are also a lot associated with it scientifically. Because when you go out, have unprotected sex with a random person, there's every possibility that sexually transmitted diseases will come. There are sexually transmitted diseases that are very, very deadly. In fact, before you discover, it has eaten deep into your system.
That's true.
And then you also transfer it to an innocent spouse who has been faithful.
That's true.
And all that. In fact, some even do this, especially the male gender. They do this as an authority. Some will tell you, we are Africans. We are entitled to marry as many as possible. Yes, you're entitled to marry, so go marry if that's the path you want to take. And not keeping a wife at home and make her suffer because you cannot control your libido. Okay? Having said that, failure to live and cleave is another reason for divorce. Failure to live and cleave. Okay?
I think that is similar to the vow you just did.
Yes. is also similar. You know, I saw a movie many years ago when I was younger, and it taught me a lesson. I was a very small boy then. Okay, there's this lady who got married to a guy. She's from a very wealthy family, and the guy is just an average guy, you know, doing his thing, comfortable, you know. So this man comes back to his house someday, his furnitures haven't changed. And then he calls the wife and said, sweetheart, what happened and all that? He said, my mother said our furnitures look archaic. So your mother said your furnitures look archaic and you didn't discuss with your husband because you are opportune to come from a wealthy family. You could get money from your mother and then change the furnitures. He comes back someday, his bedroom, everything has been changed and all that. And you're not even saying to the man, I want to make it more romantic, I want to make it more sexy, I want to make it more comfortable for you. You know, no man will hear this and not love
you the more.
Yes. But he said, my mother said, then there's this group that whatever they share with their spouse, their mother or their father must hear. Down to love making. You have sex with your partner, you're telling your mother. Do you understand? And so that failure to live and to cleave to your partner could be a reason for divorce. And this is not peculiar to any gender.
Okay.
There are men who are babies.
Okay.
That's why when I was defining marriage, I said it's for a mature man and a mature woman. Marriage is not for babies. You see men discussing with their mother everything about their wife. And I see it as immaturity.
That's true.
You have not learned to cleave. To cleave is to glue to your partner.
And we still have some other people that don't really discuss with their parents what is happening in their own immediate homes now, but they are still living under the roof of their parents.
Oh, that's an error. It's an error. I tell everybody, no matter how wealthy your parents are, if you want to marry and enjoy your marriage, go and get your own accommodation. It doesn't matter the size. As long as your partner agrees to start up life with you there. You know, some people stay under their parents' roof. You are still under the control. Because truth is, like I told myself, I wouldn't get married in my father's house. Because if my wife doesn't see my mother's imperfections, my mother will see my wife's imperfections.
That's true.
I also have sisters who will also see imperfections.
That's true.
And so to avoid this, just get yourself your own accommodation. It might not be as big as that of your parents, but both of you working together. That's why I keep talking about perception. Both of you working together will always get to that big level that you have desired. Okay? So, in fact, there's a lot. We can't, like you said, we can't exhaust it. Excessive conflicts, drug addiction, you know, a partner is addicted to some harmful substances. And when you're done with that, you just try to unleash your stupidity on your partner. This is also not gender-based. It could be from a man or a woman. There are women who are addicted to drugs today. There are men who are addicted. And so to put a control over this, is better you take your things and go. So having said all that,
so how do we control all this?
How do we control all this?
Now, in case you're being told, because there are some people that say, oh, everything I'm doing, I must let my wife to be know about it. I know someone that smokes and say, oh, anyone that will like me as a smoker will be the one I'll marry. I know. You've married a guy, you believe it will change. It hasn't changed. And you don't like it. Does that one now a good ground for you to say, no, you can't do it again?
No, it's not a good ground because this person told you from the onset.
Okay.
You were put in the know and you agreed to it. The solution to all this is, first of all, I believe in the principle of timing.
Okay.
The reason why we have a lot of this happening around our marriage is because a lot of people got married before their timing. There is time for everything. Wait for your timing. It is in the period of your timing that you get the necessary trainings, the necessary maturity that you need. Don't get married because my mates are getting married. My friends are getting married. It doesn't matter if we are friends. We could be friends and you are more mature and ready than I am. So wait for your timing until you are mature, you've taken in enough trainings, you have observed, you have also read books. You see, I wonder what is happening to us in today's society. Somebody is getting ready to marry and you have not read one single book as touching marriage.
Yeah, it happens.
And you're trying to school the person and the person is making a mockery of you. You know, there's a happy head in our happy head in our What's that?
Yeah.
What's that? You've not attended any seminar, you've not attended any teaching or training as touching marriage. You have not even married yourself.
Yeah.
Because you need to marry yourself and be a happy person, find satisfaction marrying yourself before you marry another person. So I think the first thing is the principle of timing.
Okay.
Wait for your time. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, I believe in what I call the 3Ds.
Okay.
The principle of discovery, development, and deployment.
All right.
So you must discover whom you are, discover the assignment you are here to do. Because each and every one of us has a purpose to fulfill.
That's true.
We have assignments, we have destinations.
That's true.
My destination could be different from your destination.
That's true.
It is very key because if you marry somebody without discovering your assignment and your destination, there will always be conflict of interest.
That's true.
But if you discover this, the person coming to marry you or the person you're getting married to, both of you will look at where you're going to and see if you're going to the same direction or if there's division, diversity of vision. So until you discover,
develop,
and deploy, you also need to deploy yourself because what you are doing is capable of giving you satisfaction and happiness. A lot of ladies make this mistake.
Okay.
They do not deploy themselves into something that will make them happy, something that keeps them going. A lot of ladies feel it is marriage that there is all to life. So let me marry and find rest. Let me marry and find happiness. Let me marry and find peace. There is no peace in marriage. There is no happiness. In fact, there is nobody called peace. There is nobody called happiness. It is the peace and the happiness that you bring into marriage that overflows. So this person is bringing peace, this person is bringing peace, and then it overflows. But how do you bring this peace? You must carefully deploy yourself to something that gives you satisfaction, something that makes you happy, something you can be doing, and even if you're not paid thankful, you find satisfaction doing it. And so with that, nobody has the power to frustrate you. That's why when a man says, I don't love you again, I used to love you before, you see some wanting to kill themselves.
Yes, you're going under pressure.
Because there is nothing else they are living for. Nothing else gives them satisfaction in life. Nothing else can move them forward in life. It is just that marriage. It is just that man. So, discover yourself, develop yourself, deploy yourself before talking about marriage. Marriage is not just to have sex. There's a whole lot embedded in that word marriage. So be yourself first.
All right, you just heard that. Everyone needs to get that into their own brain. As in, discover yourself, develop yourself, and deploy yourself before you think about marriage. And this will give you peace, this will give you joy, this will give you the happiness you are looking for in marriage. And you will not be there talking about divorce, because you've actually discovered yourself, you've actually developed yourself, and you are now deploying yourself. So people, everyone, you've heard that. Go to our comment section and begin to comment on our page at our Bay Show.